Content warning. The Adventures in HellwQrld podcast talks in depth about QAnon, which means we have to talk about all kinds of child abuse and violence against people. Listener discretion advised.
Hello, everybody. I am Mike Rains, aka Poker and Politics, and welcome to another episode of Adventures in HellwQrld. This week I am joined by Sarge.
Yes, until I bring numerous and endless lawsuits on the company, and I will be untimely let go. But, we'll get to that.
One day, one beautiful day.
if only we can get big enough.
Yes. And the mysterious L.
Hello, my beautiful babies.
The secret ingredient is love. What? Something's wrong with this machine.
I'm here from that movie Elle has never seen. You know the one. Inconceivable and all that shit.
Oh, right. We'd been over it, and it's too late for you to see it now.
I'd rather die than watch that movie. No, that movie seems fine. I mean, I've seen a lot of scenes from it. They all seem great independently. I've just never sat down and just been like, hey, I'm going to watch this Princess Bride thing front to back because I'm bored. It's Sunday. I don't have anything going on.
I like the all the stuff that is coming out like years later. Like, Cary Grant, the main guy, there was a scene he couldn't be in with Billy Crystal because he kept cracking up at Billy Crystal. So they had that scene where he's dead in there. That's a dummy because he kept cracking up at Billy Crystal.
I've only got that dumb accent on the brain because the other day I started my new D&D campaign that I'm DMing for, and I went to do a Professor Oak for a character, and unfortunately that guy came out, and I was just like, well, I feel like I just gotta lead into this one. So that character took a dramatic shift in tone and personality.
That is an awesome thing that happens in like a D&D adventure, is just that while you're the DM and you are in charge of things, you still don't exactly know where everything's going to go. You have like framework, but the players could take shit in a different direction. You might get an idea in the middle of a session that spins things off. It's like a bizarre form of improv where like you are the main character as the DM and you're playing off everybody else. And it's just, and then you have to be like, okay, I'm now done with acting, roll dice. Let the dice do some acting now.
Yeah, and my favorite part, there's been a lot of movement in the tabletop like role-playing game scene over the past like 10 or 15 years in terms of like independent designers coming out with stuff. Probably the most like significant one for the games we play has been Powered by the Apocalypse, which is fun, or funny, I should say, because our group has never actually played one of those games, but we've like in reading the supplements for those games, we've sort of determined their like sort of role-playing ethos and picked up a lot of the tricks that they use in Powered by the Apocalypse to do like collaborative world building and like narrative stuff. So we've just been using that in our D&D games where it's just like, hey, outside of the dungeon, like all sorts of like cool interpersonal narrative stuff, like, backfilling and improv and all that. But it's just like, then we get into the dungeon and it's grid paper o'clock. Let's go.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like around I'm doing that on purpose because a lot of the people I'm playing with, they've never had an opportunity to like, to experience the hits. Like a lot of them have played a bunch of D&D, but because D&D is like so different group to group these days, like a lot of people just end up shying away from like the classic tropes. So I know a lot of D&D players who have never fought a dragon, for instance, or like have never experienced like a beholder or what have you, or have never been in a position in a role-playing game where their character is expected to like lead others, not just other player characters, but like, hey, you're the best fighter in the city. You should probably be the one in charge of the army for this fight. Wouldn't you think? So I'm trying to like, aside from the little headier, like, downtime sort of collaborative world building stuff in terms of the overall theme of this game is let's play some of the hits.
It's time. Roll for initiative. Let's do this. This is all.
Get ready to fight a beholder in a room that it has no business being in.
Oh, that's the best part. I decided that the easiest solution to that problem coming up a bunch would just be to video gamify the campaign setting. So they just have they have an infinite dungeon. There's like a mysterious place that they go into, and they can explore this infinite dungeon. And because it's this like weird magical hollow balloon nonsense, it doesn't matter if there's some sort of like big fire elemental hanging out next to like a giant ant. Who cares?
Yeah. I was gonna say anime got that right a long time ago.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stories where people are just built around the infinite. Like, we built this town around the infinite dungeon. Yeah, well, in my D&D campaign, my players have to build that town.
Time to plant our crops and hope that like some like ball of entropy doesn't show up and eradicate half the city, because that's what happens in our version of reality. It's a lot messier than like normal reality.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, what is a nuke if not a big ball of entropy that immediately destroys your city? Am I right? Like,
Yes.
we in reality have to live under that threat. At any moment, the annihilating sphere could show up in our town. It's just it's like a mile wide, and it just immediately evaporates everything.
Yes. And for 4 long years, we had a very, very stable person in charge of our collection of annihilation spheres.
An incredibly stable genius with his powerful, huge hand on the button.
Yes.
Shit's real in the D&D streets.
Yeah.
You know, Mike, I like the cut of your jib. That's a good way to remind us that this is technically a QAnon podcast, so we should probably get on talking about QAnon-related bullshit. So in that spirit, I propose we move on to the amuse-bouche.
It's time for a light sampling of insanity. Get ready for the amuse-bouche.
I never carry the accent over to the reads for like the segments, right? It should be like the amuse-bouche. Anyway, sorry.
Probably for the best.
This week, what? You don't like this one? The whole fucking podcast this way because Sarge demanded it. No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, also terrible is Elon Musk. Shut up, Sarge. Nope. Nope. I'm cutting you off. You shut your face. I'm trying to get through it. Elon Musk is terrible as well, which I think is a segue I settled on there. And this week we decided to spice a little bit of information regarding Mr. Elon Musk and possibly Mr. Elon Musk's son or child. I can't remember which gender that child is assigned. The one in particular. Anyway, I'm in a tailspin. I'm going to throw it over to Mike to bail out of it. Mike, what's going on with Elon Musk, notorious Twitter weirdo and owner, this week?
So he posted something that it was a screenshot that had his dumb avatar in it, but then it also had an avatar in the upper right-hand corner, which is what you get when you have a linked account to your main account. And people looked at the avatar and that was the linked, and they were like, what's this then?
It was Neytiri from the hit film franchise Avatar.
Gigsuli.
If only, but it was actually a picture of what appeared to be a small child, and people found out that the account that had that as an avatar was an account called Elon Test, and
Right.
Elon Test, yeah,
incredibly savvy.
And this account did some replies to Elon, which was very weird because it looks like Elon was talking to himself. It used the crying laughing emoji a lot, the way Elon loves to use it. And it also role played as though it was a very small child, which was jarring and odd. So
yeah,
there's been a bit of
with a small child with suspiciously the same birthday as Elon Musk's real child, whose name I don't know how to pronounce because it is gibberish.
Yeah, I think he just calls it X, or he calls that child X, I think. I'm not sure.
I think he calls it X. I mean, that is the best way to describe Elon Musk thinking about his child.
Yes.
I believe I've designated that one X.
The first Google result, Google autofill is Elon's child name. Oh, Jesus.
So while this here's account, which I don't know what the kids these days are calling it, but back in my day on the internet, this here would be called a sock puppet account.
Yes.
Yeah.
So while this here sock puppet account has never explicitly said that it is supposed to be Elon Musk's like 2-year-old or 3-year-old child or whatever, it does share the same date of birth based on its posting history. This is one of those things that was so weird, even I heard about it.
Yeah. And also, there was a thing where Elon Test posted a tweet that said, "Only one person is following me, bracket Psy," and Elon has done the bracket Psy thing also in his real account. So there's a lot of typing that's very similar, and
I'm sure there was nothing creepy and sexual about any of these posts, right?
Oh boy.
oh, you would be wrong because there was
Damn
one.
it, but they're supposed to be a small child.
You were the
It's everything Q stands against.
Oh yeah, there was the question that was given to one person about do they like Japanese girls, which was asked to Michael Saylor, who said that Satoshi had the right idea, and then he replied to that, and then to another picture of a woman, he said, "I heart librarians," and
That wasn't just any woman, there, friend.
I know.
That is the former lover / partner of oh god, what the hell was that guy's name? Bankman Sigmund Freud or
yeah the crypto swindler, that guy, the FTX con man.
Yeah, FTX clown. Pour one out for Storybook Brawl. So down May 1st. So it's a real shame.
Oh, I had to quietly on the side here watch a video of Elon saying his child's name to figure out how the fuck to pronounce it. It is XAsh12.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, no.
X or Ash. You're just going to end up Ash your whole name in life because the first time you walk into a room and you're just like, I'm X. Whoever has the most clout in that room is going to quickly tell you that no, you are not X. You choose a different nickname for yourself, you loser.
And their new child is Exa Dark Sidereal Musk.
Yeah, oof, that one doesn't even have like a real name buried in there, like X Ash 12 does.
I think you just go with Sid. You just the Sideria or however that was. You just chop it all the way down to just Sid and just call.
Oh, did I miss a Sid in there? Sid is a good one.
Sidereal is
yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I thought it like I for a moment I thought you just said Idirial, and I was like, ooh boy. I mean, that's
I could have
a tough one.
Like it's all gibberish.
Yeah. It was just lucky that Sid was in there. That was not intentional. They were just.
You don't want to name your kid something that will get them bullied when they reveal it because people will assume it is some edgelord nickname they have assigned to themselves.
He has a lot of fucking kids.
Oh yeah, dude, he emanates the Musk, man. Like he's got it. It's by name and by trade. You feel?
He has 7 kids, and man, the two with Grimes really got the shaft on the names because his other kids' names are just Griffin, Vivian, Saxon, Damon, like Damien.
Wow, you're saying that Elon Musk's collaboration with Grimes was probably his weirdest collaboration thus far? I mean, what a shocking development. She seemed so adjusted.
Breaking news. X Ash A12.
Yeah.
God almighty.
Which of those children is his trans daughter that has disowned him?
I could not immediately tell you because oh my god.
Yeah, I fear you dead named the daughter, so I was just like, damn you, Sarge, we're gonna get canceled.
So now you're gonna cancel in media res.
Yeah,
you're dead to us, Sarge.
Yeah. I, Mike Rains, Sarge's opinions are only his own. Only Sarge dead names on this pod, not us.
If anyone dead named, it was this article published less than 2 weeks ago.
Okay, boo them.
It's okay. Hey, listeners, that brief pause you just heard, we edited in the proper information. I'm sure you all heard it. It's there. Whatever the most politically correct and accurate information is, I'm sure that it got edited in after the fact. And if it didn't, just imagine that it did.
Yes.
I might not have even named that person because he has so many goddamn kids.
I think I implied that one of his kids was a stupid moron. And they're all like, the one I was talking about was like 3. Look, we've all said stuff on this podcast that we regret. The fact is, we're too lazy to edit it out. So maybe we'll edit something in. Who knows?
Incredibly unlikely, but possible. Anyhow, so yeah, Elon's weird his weird sock puppet account was discovered because his OPSEC is terrible and he has no idea what he's doing. Yeah. And Twitter continues to circle the drain in magical and enchanting ways. So Keep it up, Elon. Everything's going great. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Well, I mean, currently he's too busy to really properly manage the secrecy of his sock puppet accounts because he's busy rolling around in the money he's raking it in of those blue check marks, just rolling in cash.
Oh yeah,
too busy with SpaceX losing its license to launch rockets because they won't stop blowing up.
Look, man, everybody involved with that rocket ship launch was just like, we expected it to blow up. Losers, joke's on you. We're very proud of this explosion.
yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I'm sure that like science is a lot of that, but also that's the stuff that science edits out. Full circle. Look at me. Boom. I'm so good at this job, which is not a job because I'm not getting paid for it. But yeah, like I don't want to see the bajillion failures. That's why I am not an American Idol watcher. I can't stand the part at the beginning of American Idol where it's just like, we're going to show you the people that are going to continue. But also, do you want to see some of these chubs who are bad? No. I don't want to see chumps who are bad. I do not care about chumps who are bad at a job. I, myself, am bad at nearly every job. There is a small percentage of jobs I am good at, and that is what I present to the world. Every other job, I fucking keep my mediocrity myself.
Yeah, I from what I understand, he didn't do all that much at SpaceX, and yes, I do know that rocket science involves a lot of explosions, but it's just, again, yet another one of his companies that could be doing amazing, that if he just calm down and focus. Like, Tesla is also, from what I understand, he's facing something of like a board coup, because they just want him to run the goddamn company and stop fucking around with Twitter, which is just losing him money. And
he will never stop fucking around with Twitter. That is,
dude, Twitter to be on. It is riding the stonks rocket to the moon of profitability any moment now. You just wait and see.
Yeah, when they took away all the check marks from everybody, and then nobody took them back because no one gave a shit about them. I mean, it was like that was the most hilarious example of how these idiots think money works in the real world. We're like, oh, your money only has value because the government says it does. You should get into Bitcoin and crypto. That has real value and bargle argle. It's like blue check marks were always just a form of like social currency clout that existed in our world. And then when a giant dum-dum took over Twitter and then was like, you have to pay for your fake social clout, everyone was like, no. We will not pay for our fake social clout. No, thank you.
You have to pay for your two-factor authentication, which
well, when the fucking bombs start dropping and the only way to track real-time data of how the North Korean troops are moving systematically through your neighborhood is Twitter, you're all going to come crawling back. And then he's going to become rich as a king.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's stop talking about this dweebus for the week because Lord knows we'll just have to talk to him again in 7 days' time. Instead,
much.
let's talk about what I have written down here as a Crowder/Owens dust-up. I barely remember who these people are, so straight over to Mike. Mike, who the fuck are these people and why do we care?
Steven Crowder is a right-wing grifter who has been trying to create the Steven Crowder brand because he'd always been under the thumb of some right-wing billionaire who'd been subsidizing him. And basically a while ago, he decided to enter into a contract discussion with the Daily Caller, Ben Shapiro's grift site.
Because he was at the Blaze, right?
Yeah, I believe he was at the Blaze. But the point is that he did this thing with Daily Caller, and then he called them back like a few months later and recorded the conversation with them, and then played edited clips of it to make it sound like they were trying to fuck him over. And he was just like, "Hey, man, I'm Steven Crowder. I make huge money. I'm trying to do right by you, and you're pulling all this stuff on me." And the timeline made no sense. He'd been offered the contract like months and months before that. So the idea that he just got a burr in his saddle one day and had to call them up and give him a piece of his mind about what they were offering him, this was a publicity stunt to try to get him attention so that whatever Steven Crowder brand he was going to launch, that he was going to do himself and not at the auspices of some grift shop like Ben Shapiro's or whatever. It was going to get a little like a publicity boost. And so because of this, the Daily Caller and Steven Crowder have been on the outs for a while now. And Candace Owens is one of the main grifters on the Daily Caller. And recently it appears that Steven Crowder is getting divorced, and Candace Owens has decided to jump in, and she's throwing all kinds of barbs at Crowder about this. She's talking about stuff he sent her on Instagram that may not be that great. Owens is also now talking about maybe bringing Crowder's ex-wife on her show to tell her side of the story and the divorce between her and Steven. And so this is apparently like a kind of personal like spat here between these two right-wing grifters. And it's also Owens kind of sticking up for her brand because the Daily Caller is who signs her checks, and Crowder tried to take a shit on them. And now that Crowder's in a moment of weakness with the whole getting divorced thing, she's deciding to make hay here, and she's like really giving him the business, which he deserves it because he's terrible. She's also terrible. There's no one to root for in this battle. All we can hope for is injuries, but on the whole, it's fun to see a guy like this.
That's the way you look at it, but that's stinking thinking. The way I see it is that no matter who wins, we win.
Yeah, we'll get some fun info.
Or as that character from that Godzilla movie said, let them fight.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is something that I totally agree with. They should absolutely be at each other's throats in perpetuity. Because the more they're yelling at each other, the less likely it is they're going to, I don't know, shoot somebody randomly while AK-47ing a canister of Bud Light or whatever. Because we have to damage property that's woke and bad, and we're mad at it. Rargle bargle. Yes.
And also it's an excuse to shoot guns, which is all we really want to do. All conservatives want to do with his life is shoot guns.
Yeah, sometimes at a bunch of tannerite, and then it fucks up their face, and they almost die.
And sometimes at like a homeless person because they're just like bonkers. They're just completely off the rails. Or sometimes at a little girl whose ball rolls into their driveway.
Jeez. Yeah.
America's sweet. I love being in America. Just like anytime
fun.
anytime you leave your house, roll a "do I get shot" check.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Oh man. So I just read this. Apparently, while his wife was getting ready to have kids, Crowder went under some bizarre cosmetic surgery to correct a sunken chest. Apparently, his pecs weren't strong enough for him, so he decided to get cosmetic pec surgery. And the surgery caused fluid to accumulate in his lungs that he called extremely painful. Several weeks later, he was rushed to the hospital with a collapsed lung. So, in order to look more manly and be more of a Giga Chad, Steven Crowder nearly killed himself with cosmetic surgery.
Dude, no pain, no gain. Am I right?
Yes.
That's I feel like there's a.
How fucking intense is that surgery that it can cause anything to happen to your lungs at all?
Yeah. Like, I want you to fuck around in my chest to make my chest swole, and it might kill me. Yeah, so that's worth it. Totally worth it, because I need to look good when I'm doing my video podcast where I got my gun strapped to my shoulder holster. So I'm so first America. I'm so red-blooded America first, Second Amendment, MAGA, #freedom, all of it. Oh God.
Something hubris and vanity.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were like a woman who was dissatisfied with her cup size. It was just like, hey, I'd like to go up in my cup size. If you do your plastic surgery, can you please augment my breasts? And he was just like, yes, let me explain the procedure. First, we're going to go up in through the lungs. We're going to get all up in there. It's going to be crazy. We're going to have you open like it's a fucking, like it's a horror film. This is going to be the thing. Back when it was still practical. You don't even know. So it's so weird. I always felt like plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery in general, not just, plastic surgery or whatever, would like, it seemed like it would have to be tame enough to be as mass market appealing as it is. Don't get me wrong. I get the appeal of wanting to be beautiful, but like, I don't think that many people would want to be mutilated to do such. Listeners, if you've ever had your whole ass chest augmented to make yourself look like you've got big burly pecs, go ahead, call to action for the week.
Yes.
If you had
big burly chest.
Yeah. If you made yourself look like a cool triangle man through the use of cosmetic surgery that required them to crack open your chest cavity and get near your lungs, let us know, because that's brave and also interesting.
Yeah.
The endless joy of right-wing shitbags like fighting with each other. They will they will come at each other. Like the backstabbing is their first move. If any of these idiots give any of the rest of them any information, they're one very minor disagreement away from it, just the T being dropped immediately.
Right, that was the whole thing where Milo outed Ali Alexander as a pedophile that we talked about last week. This is how these guys operate. They're all looking to backbite. They're all looking to betray each other for any reason whatsoever. If you bring anyone into your inner circle, expect them to sell you out instantaneously, because none of them have any ethics. None of them have any morals. It's all about just who can get the next dollar. That's it.
Yeah, but then you do have brave heroes like this Crowder chap who decided that in the chest puffing out competition, he was just going to go become altered by Phyrexian technology to just constantly have puffed out chest. Yeah, motherfucker, my chest is always puffed. Come at me. I'm ready for anything. This chest is locked, cocked, and ready to rock.
God. Yeah, so Crowder's also talked about how he doesn't know if his wife should be legally allowed to divorce him, and how if anyone talks about his divorce too publicly, he might seek to sue them for like airing his dirty laundry in an unacceptable way. To which, please, Stephen, I hope we get much more dirt and we will leak it. We will do anything. Please file a cease and desist against us. Let us try to affect the shit out of our tiny little podcast. We beg of thee. So
yeah, I mean, I have to stress that we're a comedy podcast and that most of the stuff we say is to be taken humorously. So take what I'm about to say with whatever grains of salt you'd like to. But I have heard that he is a secret homosexual, if you know what I mean. Which, I mean, you know, for me, you and other rational people, that doesn't mean anything. But inside of the world that he traffics in, oh boy, that is the bomb. Like that smoking gun. Whew, I hear he does that too. Anyway, that was an easy joke. I'm sorry I went there. It was just so the juiciest fruit hangs the lowest, etc. Let's move on to our next boosh topic for the week. Trump ducking some debates, which I had to write down because that's what Mike Raines told me, but that's not true. Donald Trump can't duck. Anyway, Mike, what are we talking about here? I'm assuming it's a metaphor for other types of cowardice and not physically moving at the waist in any way, because that seems like a no-go for the man.
So the first thing that happened this week was after Crystal Lady, whose name I will never actually say because I don't care about her, and RFK Jr. declared that they were totally running legitimate campaigns for the Democratic nomination for president, the DNC came out and said, oh no, in no way, shape, or form are we having debates. Biden's our candidate, and the president of the United States does not deign to take the stage with anti-vax kooks and cranks who are polling at 3% or less. So no bueno to all that shit. Go fuck yourselves. Incumbent presidents don't have to do that kind of stuff unless absolutely forced to, which he's not. So we then had like Marjorie Taylor Greene and all the right wingers in the world screaming and yelling about how, oh, the Democrats are trying to silence free speech. They don't want to give their voters choices. They're a tyranny. They're despotism, blah, blah, blah. And then lo and behold, on Truth Social, Donald Trump truthed out, as they say. I see that everyone is talking about the Republican debates, but no one got my approval or the approval of the Trump campaign before announcing them. When you are leading by seemingly insurmountable numbers and you have hostile networks of angry Trump and MAGA-hating anchors asking the quote-unquote questions, why subject yourself to being libeled and abused? Also, the second debate is being held at the Reagan Library, the chairman of which is, amazingly, Fred Ryan, publisher of the Washington Post. No! Exclamation point. That's just...
I'm winning by so much. Why would I even bother debating?
I am crushing my pathetic opponents so badly. I will not take the stage with them. Get fucked, DeSantis and the rest of you clowns. You're beneath contempt. I wouldn't even give you the time of day, much less debate you.
I have to imagine that Trump just has an aide that periodically he's just like, how the numbers looking? And that aide just goes, good, boss. And then that's how he makes his whole life. Just like, you're really crushing it, boss. And he's just like, excellent. I knew I was crushing it the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's worth pointing out, he didn't debate last time with any other Republicans. Like, Trump didn't. Like, he didn't participate in any Republican debates.
Oh, yeah, you had Bill Weld and a couple other cranks who were polling at 2%, yelling at each other on stages, and it's like, no, none of you guys matter. Trump wins the nomination in a landslide. Like, Trump had to debate in 2016, and his literal debating was saying he had a big dick and that Jeb Bush was boring, and the media was like, "Oh my God, he's so good at this! Oh man, the most brilliant political mind of the 20th century! Oh, Trump, you're so good."
I mean, to be fair, if he ever manages to string a full sentence together, it does count as a big win for them.
Oh, yes,
And they have the audacity to come at Joe Biden for being sleepy. Neither of them are great at speaking. Like, hey, I hate to tell you this, Trump fans. Your boy sucks at public speaking. He's just bad at it. You like the stuff he says because he's just like a rootin', tootin', mouth-shooting idiot. But like the way he's presenting it could be presented in a much more charismatic and effective way. And I feel like a lot of us left-leaning people are pretty excited that the one that you've elected to your leadership position is an idiot.
Yeah,
is an idiot that can't speak properly. If you had like the Barack Obama of QAnon friendly conservatism, we would be having a problem.
Yeah, the thing about it is like Trump's charisma is basically the best you can get in kind of right-wing shit world, where it's this braggadocious, arrogant, very mean-spirited sort of I'm gonna fuck up these people that are bad and awful, and you're gonna support me for doing it because I'm manly and strong. When I'm like I'm nearly 80, I'm very overweight, can't lift up a glass of water with only one hand. Slight inclines are perilous to me, all the rest of it. I mean, it's just so funny. We've talked about this a million times, but it never stops being ridiculous how they keep like just Donald Trump is the epitome of masculinity and buffness and strength, and it's like, no, he's actually a really doughy old man who can't even apply his makeup to his face right and has ridiculous like pale skin on his temple then glowing orange on his forehead. I mean, he's such a weird, like, clown of a figure, literally.
No wonder the conservatives hate Hollywood so much, because anytime like a Bruce Manstrong type is like born in the world, at some point Hollywood gets their hooks in him. It's just like, why would you ever go into politics? You're very attractive. You can become a sports star, baby, or a movie star, baby, or a music star, baby. You don't have to suffer for any of these fucking political bullshit. You could be a TV star, and then you can do the political thing after you're no longer Bruce Manstrong. So we get these like 80-year-old people who are just like, remember when I was great and dashing? And she's like, that was a long time, old man. Boo, you suck. Like, that's why Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will never run for president. There's a variety of reasons, but one of them is just like he's still got gas in the tank to just continue to be world famous and paid. Why would he downgrade to be world famous, stressed out of his mind, and not paid?
Yeah, everyone comes out of the presidency looking aged like 10 years, except, I don't know, maybe Trump.
It's like the opposite of the hyperbaric time chamber or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
You go into it and you start aging at like 10 times speed.
Yeah, when you have the weight of the literal world on your shoulders, I guess it's probably pretty stressful.
I remember there was like that period of time in Bill Clinton's presidency where like sometimes he'd have white hair and then sometimes he'd have his dark hair, and then one day he just gave up on it and it was just all white hair all the time, and that was just it. He's like, yeah, the job turned me gray. Them's the breaks.
Could you imagine how impossibly bananas the QAnon people would go if Joe Biden was like alternating their hair colors for a while because he was ashamed of going gray? They would be like, oh my god, the hologram is breaking down, the actor forgot to whiten his hair, like what a loser, like check it out, like oh my god. It's so crazy.
Oh, that'd be great. That would be awesome. Oh man, if only we could get a president who actually cared enough to fuck with QAnon and those weirdos by doing stuff like that. It'd be so great. I like after Biden wins re-election, I wanted Obama to do it. I want like the president to just like sort of like dip out of town for like 2 weeks, and then they just come back and they're already rocking a beard that's growing in. And it's like, yeah, this is my second turn beard. I'm going for it. Just
looks like Letterman.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Oh yeah.
I know we talked about it on the podcast a couple of times before, so I'm not going to rehash it too much. But it is just absolutely bananas to me. Like when I think of having like a grandpa, like a person of advanced age moment, it's just like it's saying shit like simpler times back then. But my god, like it's hard not to describe Bill Clinton's presidency is simpler times. He had an affair with an intern, and it was a disaster. It was horrible for everything. It was a huge fucking blow up. It was insane. And then you look at that compared to the shit that Donald Trump is doing, and it's like, oh, that's hilarious. It makes it seem like we're living in cyberpunk. You know what I mean? How hilariously naive it was to think it's just like, so what? He got a blowjob in the Oval Office. Who cares?
I brought that up to one of my conservative aunts like a while ago. I was like, do you honestly, can you look at this? Do you remember what happened to Clinton? The things Trump has done, the fact that he's divorced alone 20 years ago would have even 20 years ago would have just outright disqualified him.
Oh, Reagan was divorced, and that was a huge scandal that people were like, can we really vote for a divorced president? Oh, man. But, like, Trump has had 2 divorces. He's had children with 3 different women. People brought that up all the time, that if that would happen with Obama, oh, my God, he'd be totally unelectable. All the things Republicans would say about a black man with numerous divorces and children with numerous former wives. Oh, my stars.
And I love how that's the Donald Trump scandalous shit iceberg. And we're still at the tippy top because at some point we get to the creepy attraction to his own daughter layer, and it's just like, and this was the president of the United States. You're saying?
Exactly.
Anyway, we've run a little long in the boosh, so let's go ahead and move into our official headline segment with some cues in the news.
From the digital headlines to the digital front lines, it's Cues in the News.
Alrighty, I'm sure it's the last time ever, for reasons that will become clear to you here in a moment, that we have to talk about our friend Tucker Carlson. I'm sure that he's gone forever. It was a quite sudden departure from this earthly realm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get anyone's hopes up. He's still alive. He's not dead. But
Fuck!
he is. Yeah, I know. That was a rough beat. It was a mean trick on my part. But he is dead at Fox for the most part, and we'll turn it over to Mike to explain what the fuck is going on with Tux and why is he suddenly out at Fox.
So it appears that this edict came from the Murdoch family themselves, either Rupert or Latian. I can never say the son's the name right, but one of the Murdoch family was like, "Get him out of here. We're done with him. That's it." And this came out of nowhere because, as numerous people have pointed out, that on Friday night Tucker was like, "See you Monday. Catch you then." Boom.
I'm not gonna end up eating pizza like a schlemiel. Come back later. See you Monday.
Yeah,
I'm just like you.
He was allegedly in contract negotiations, so he thought everything was going great. But it's clear to everyone that this stems from the Dominion lawsuit, and the Murdochs knew that Tucker thought he was untouchable and would not play ball. They knew that going forward they were going to have to tamp down on basically everything, and they have the Smartmantic lawsuit coming up.
Well, so clear to everyone that may be. Do we have any actual facts to that effect, or is it just speculation that seems so on the nose that it might as well just be open truth? Because it's just hey, Fox loses insanely huge lawsuit, and then a week later decides to just randomly fire our biggest star. No big deal.
No, we just having past being prelude, because this is what happened to O'Reilly. Fox News makes someone so big and then so toxic that they have to disavow them, and they've done this a couple of times.
Glenn Beck, Glenn Beck, yeah. But
O'Reilly, Tucker.
Yeah, the other thing is that Tucker's also facing a sexual harassment lawsuit that's been filed by a former person who worked for him, and it's very possible that discovery in that lawsuit may have opened another can of worms about how absolutely shitty and monstrous Tucker was to work for, and Fox doesn't want that stink on them during that whole thing, because they saw what happened during discovery against Dominion, where it was just like, oh my God, our anchors are talking to people who claim to be decapitated ghosts that are not dead, even though the wind tells them they are. So they're just like, no, we're not getting into discovery with Tucker's sexual harassment case with him still on the payroll. No, thank you. And also, as Sarge mentioned, Smartmatic is coming for their bite of the apple that Dominion already got a bite out of. So,
I feel like there's another lawsuit on the horizon.
oh, there could be. I mean, Fox has made a lot of friends. As a quick little aside, one of the funniest things I saw was someone was like, "Oh, Fox settled with Dominion because they're part of the deep state and they're controlled opposition. I don't see Rudy or Powell settling with Dominion." It's like those lawsuits are coming. They're going to settle or they're going to be fucking destroyed. Welcome to the deep state, Rudy and Sydney. You're joining soon. Don't worry. But
Also, if this sort of thing is evidence of the deep state, then hey, guess what? They're QAnon idiots. The fucking deep state is here, and we're playing fucking hard. Get fucked.
Mike,
we took a $750 million bite out of Fox News and made them oust their top star, the person you love the most, except for Donald Trump. Get him out of here with a fucking deep state, and we don't fuck with that shit.
Mike, did you see QAnon John supposedly posting about how Tucker was going to have him on the
yes.
show?
Yeah, QAnon John was like, I was going to be on Tucker before he got fired, which maybe he was, who knows. But the main reason why QAnon John would have gone on was because he was getting ready to file a fraudulent lawsuit against the ADL, which is one of Tucker's hobby horses to rail against, one of his favorite deep state people. And QAnon John, who is neck deep in QAnon, which is incredibly anti-Semitic. So anything the ADL said against him is protected speech because it's true. Fuck you, QAnon John. And I also, QAnon John's my hero because he had to change his name to the Patriot Voice after Q gave out the edict that you can't say QAnon anymore because it's not real. I just love that this guy branded himself so aggressively. He probably has like a QAnon John tattoo somewhere on his body that he had to cover up after Q was like, yeah, stop saying QAnon. It makes us look bad.
He's like, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just top of the video, I wanted to address the elephant in the room. Yes, I have rebranded myself to Q and Anon John because they're two separate things. So, welcome to the new channel, Q and Anon John. Doesn't roll off the tongue as well, but it is what it is. They're different. Q and Anon John.
Exactly. So Tucker is gone, and QAnon has sided 100% with Tucker. Like, Fox News is the worst. They suck. They're bad. We're never watching them again. They're shit. And Ron DeSantis was on Fox after Tucker got fired, which proves that he's bad and he sucks. And we got to back Trump 170%.
And somebody asked him how he felt about lagging in the polls, and his head exploded like it was a Westworld robot.
Oh my God. The Ron DeSantis head bobble shit. Oh man. It is just amazing that the people tried to prop this guy up. He is so lightweight. It is not even funny. Oh my God. DeSantis sucks so bad.
Did you see him when he was in high school? Ugh, fucking dog. Gross. So ugly.
Barf. What an uggo.
Yeah. Sorry. I should have brought it up in the bush, but man, I love that. It was just like, well, you know, I'm not even running for president. So, like, whatever. Even if I was, who would care? I'm leaving now. His head just bobbling all wiggly jiggly, like you just told some android some sort of like logic knot. And it's just like, hey there, robot. Do you suppose an omniscient and omnipotent god could create a rock so big that not even it could lift? What? Kabloomers. Suddenly you're just covered in DeSantis' brain.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still in Japan, but he was in Japan. I don't know why. And they've already queued up to try and pass a law in Florida, and I guess they probably will, so that he can run for president without having to leave office. But so that kind of confirms what everyone already knew.
So, okay, do we suppose... So, speaking of running for president, I'm sure that QAnon thinks that at some point Tuck is going to take his shot. Do they think this is the shot? Was QAnon spinning this in a positive way? They're never just the type to yell about a thing unless it's transgender people. They like to spin it in a positive light that has them coming out in like, no, surely we're winning, and here's how.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But they see it more as Tucker 28, or maybe Tucker is the vice president under Trump. They're 100% on Trump winning in 2024. That's just lock that in, baby. And then
Yes, please continue to believe that. That is what you should believe.
That we talked about this in our group
Oh
chat.
yeah, he's crushing it. Oh man, oh I'm terrified. Oh, I'm so scared of the guy. Oh.
There's no chance Tucker gets anywhere near an election because it would just be endless people baying for his tax returns.
I don't think he would care. I mean, he's married into infinite money. I mean, they accepted it with Trump, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Tucker in 28. But I think that they think that Tucker is going to do something bigger and better than Fox News. My favorite alternate reality that they're in is that now that Tucker is free from Fox News, he can go through the 40,000 hours of January 6th videotape and find the smoking gun that proves it was entrapment or some other nefarious deep state plot. And as people have pointed out, no, Fox News actually has that shit. It's under lock and key with them. Tucker doesn't get to take that with him on his way out the door. So the deep state will be hiding that 40,000 hours of exculpatory evidence in January 6th quite well. So we win again. Hashtag deep state wins. So sorry, QAnon.
How does it feel to get fucking deep stated again, you clowns? Hey,
Boom.
Tucker, taste that deep state.
Yeah.
The only thing he gets to take with him is his name, and that's worth
in his racism.
Yeah, it's worth quite a bit, as it turns out, because Fox News' stock tanked like some astronomical amount after they announced they fired him.
Hey, well, they could fire Tucker Carlson, but they could never strip him of his creative inspiration to make videos where guys get their dicks tanned or whatever.
What?
Right to One America News and be the king of the smallest pond ever.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's fielding endless offers from like the Blaze and like whatever sweetheart deal that they were going to offer Crowder that he didn't think was big enough.
The problem is all these right-wing chumpo news networks, they can't afford Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have to be giving him like mad stock or something. Like he'd have to be getting some big-time points on the package to ever even consider such a thing, right?
Welcome to Rumble, now co-owned by Tucker Carlson. I mean, that's basically what's going to happen here. They're going to have to basically sell themselves to Tucker in order for him to be willing to like take them on as part of his brand.
Yeah, he's going to launch his own like 95% him-controlled social media network called Fact.
Exactly.
Like in our social media network, you will not tweet anything. You will fact it, and somebody will be like, "What truth?" And he's like, "I don't know what that is."
You will refact all your messages. It'll be great.
Really distinct from that. You leave me alone.
Yeah, so this is one of those things where QAnon is spinning it as a win, even though it absolutely isn't. As L brought up, like their hero just got turfed out of his job, and that makes them very angry and sad. But he will, much like the Phoenix, arise from the ashes, stronger, better than ever, just as Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck did. Oh wait, they didn't. Glenn Beck tried to become a centrist for 5 minutes, realized that shit was never going to fly, and then went right back to being a crank. And Bill O'Reilly is out writing books about various political leaders being murdered that are being ghostwritten by other people, and just doing his thing of being a dumb old crank who sexually harassed a lot of women and had to pay unbelievable sums of money about that. So good job, Billo. Yeah. So
all right. So moving right along, because we ran a little long on our bush, and I'm sure we'll get more Tucker Carlson rammed down our throats.
Yeah, that story is only starting.
Well, he and Don Lemon hired the same lawyer for litigating because they were obviously wrongfully terminated. How could I be fired? I'm white. And Don Lemon's just like, wait a minute, I'm not white. And he's just like, well, I'm going to use a different defense for you. How could you possibly fire my client? He's black. Anyway, we need to talk about a different sort of black folk, I guess. This is the worst segue idea I've ever had. But I feel like, hey, I'm on the line, and I feel like I haven't fallen off of it yet. It's time for us to move on to talk about what I have written down here is African death cult with a question mark. I don't know what this means, so I'm only speculating that it has something to do with Africa. So, Mike, explain why we're talking about African death cults.
Okay, so the Good News International Church is a cult based out of Kenya, I do believe. And unfortunately, recently there has been found mass graves in the area where I think about over 80 people have been found dead because the leader of this group, a man who goes by the name Paul Mackenzie, he told these people to starve themselves so that they could meet Jesus quicker and just get on with it. And that numerous members of the Good Times International Church that were found that had survived were attempting to fight off people's efforts to treat them and administer nutrients to them because they too wanted to die so that they could meet Jesus.
Mike, you know I hate it when I have to scold you for bringing up stuff that has nothing to do with QAnon. Certainly QAnon has nothing to do or say about this weird tragedy. So we'll move right along. Anyway.
Nailed it.
Yeah, so the Good Times International Church it was a doomsday cult that was also talking about the New World Order and basically the mark of the beast coming with digital currency and all this basically technology and what have you was bringing about the apocalyptic end times, and that because of the way the world was trending, now is the time to check out. So let's all go to some isolated section of this country and starve ourselves to death so that we can meet God and just be done with it, because that's the best payout one could ever get. I do believe as of this time, the Kenyan government has declared that they are seeking to arrest Mackenzie and charge him with murder for running this group. And this is just the kind of horrible end result of movements like this, where you do these kinds of things to people, you brainwash them, and then you put them into a position where they're willing to do this sort of thing. And there were also children involved who didn't have any say in the matter and were obviously killed by their brainwashed parents, and this absolute monster of a human being who I hope goes to jail for forever.
Yeah, that's
So, yeah.
the problem with death cults.
Once again, Mike, stinking thinking. That's only one way to look at it. Another way would be that all of them are going to get to go see their boy Jesus, and it's going to work out just fine for all of them.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all turning up aces. Everything should, but yeah, that's the problem with death cults. They kind of have an expiration date right there on the tin, and it tends to self-accelerate, especially when the cult leader starts giving out deadlines, and those deadlines don't really happen, so they have to keep ramping up, and then we find our way to Jonestown. But yeah, the modern internet age has made it just a little bit easier for these death cults to, I don't know, somehow prosper or just like grow. Just easier to spread these like crap ideas. Luckily,
the internet lets these people reach out and find more damaged people in an effort to poison their minds and make them a part of the community. So one of their messages was, "We are about to win the battle. Let no one turn back. The journey is about to be accomplished." And they had they've talked about how the Vatican is part of a necropolis, and that
I mean, yeah, it has. I guess like there are a lot of people buried there.
Yep. The empire of the city. This is the New World Order. The Vatican is one part of it. the Vatican controls religion. England controls the finances, and America controls the military. And it basically has a Pope. I don't think it's Francis, but it looks like a Pope. It has Queen Elizabeth. It has Uncle Sam, and their faces are skulls instead of faces.
Metal.
Yep, and finally, Apple's new iPhone X with Face ID takes giant step closer to being a Mark of the Beast surveillance system.
iPhone X, aren't we on the 14?
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, the Mark,
they're running behind.
The Mark continues to creep upon us ever slower. But any day now, the Mark of the Beast will be upon us. Yeah, so this, I mean, shockingly, QAnon has made no comments about this at all whatsoever. It's so weird. They totally distance themselves from this movement because there's no way they can talk about this without suddenly being like, oh, wait, sounds like a certain other group, like us, maybe.
Yeah,
So no.
they do have a way of distancing themselves from people that actually, quotation marks, take it too far. Oh, they're not us. These people that haven't killed anyone yet, they are us. But those people that have killed someone.
Yep. No Q Scotsman. I mean, it's just yeah.
Weird stuff. I had only heard about this like sort of in the very very background radiation of my day-to-day life, like hearing about these big like this big like mass casualty event / like big grave discovery or whatever down in Africa somewhere. Man, I would love a headline coming out of Africa that was good news. That would be great. Like, every time anything like manages to penetrate the news of the Western world, it's always like the worst, most horrible shit out there. It's never like heroic scientist saves village from malaria or whatever. Like like that headline's never getting to Western audiences. It's always just like warlord slaughters everyone. It fucking sucks.
Yeah,
it's great.
Nope, it's pretty bleak. I mean, it's pretty bleak, but that's why this stuff doesn't make it into the boosh, because there's nothing good about this. And basically, all I can hope for is that the cult leader is jailed for forever or executed if that's what the nation's laws allow for happening, because. I believe I just read 89 people have died as a result of this, at least. That's the current count. So fuck that guy. Like, just stop making cults. It's a bad thing. Don't do this to people. You are awful and bad. And it's just...
Well, I mean, a cult is usually great for one person.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible for the leader. And that's a lot of people have pointed this out with the photos of him. They're like, this guy doesn't look like he's missing any meals. Takes a lot of nerve to be telling your congregation, now you all starve and die for the Lord. I'm gonna head out to Dunks. So catch you all in a little while. Enjoy your starvation. So
we'll check back next week with if Mike's condemnation of cults have suppressed them.
I think people are gonna listen. I've put my foot down. It's over. It's over for you cults now.
Yeah. No, next week in a surprise twist, Mike's going to be like, you know what? I've come around on cults. I think they're pretty great.
So bad.
I've started a cult. It's great.
Yeah. You know what? I did my own research, and cults seem pretty rad if you're the guy on top. So I would like to invite you to my cult, the Cult of Raids.
Yes. That's the name of the podcast now. It's great. It takes a hard right turn. We've just gone completely nuts.
And then you can relocate to Africa, like as this fellow did. Obviously, he had his setup there, and then you can be the Reigns down in Africa.
Boo.
Sarge, it's like the name of that song. It's the lyrics that they're in.
Yes.
It's gonna take a lot. Such a perfect rendition that we're gonna get copyright struck.
Yes.
Yep.
Fucking digital millennium shit. I hate the digital millennium. Anyway, let's wrap up our.
We do love that Fox show Millennium. You should go watch that.
I mean, love is a strong word. First season's pretty good. Anyway, let's wrap up our headline news segment for the week with getting back to a slightly lighter and fluffier topic than a death cult in Africa, and get back to talking about old bobblehead boy DeSantis, just really not running for president. I don't know what you're talking about. That's crazy. And his continuing feud with the Walt Disney Corporation, which again seems like a losing battle. I don't care if you're a whole ass state in the United States. In what I have called Disney Cross DeSantis : Rainbow Edition. Mike, what's going on with Disney and DeSantis this week?
Well, this was like breaking news. This happened about an hour before we started recording. But
my God, it's broken. Oh,
yeah.
my news.
So Disney has now finally filed suit in court against DeSantis and the government of Florida for violating their First Amendment rights and basically all the other constitutional rights that any group of people would have. And in their litigation about this, they pointed out that when one of the Florida legislators who decided to put together the package that was going to strip Disney World of their autonomy in their little fiefdom, he said, quote, as the Florida representative who introduced the Reedy Creek dissolution bill declared to the Florida House State Affairs Committee, you kick the hornet's nest, things come up. And I will say this, you got me on one thing, this bill does target one company. It targets the Walt Disney Company. So, like, literally, this guy was like, I'm asking you to pass legislation that violates the First Amendment to punish a company we do not like. Yeah. So, please, my fellow constituents of Florida's state Congress, let's do a crime. Let's do illegal shit to fuck Disney over with. Just openly and proudly stating this like a giant dum-dum.
Yeah, the thrust of the lawsuit is that DeSantis's interference with their business is politically motivated. And I'd say that that's hard to prove in a lot of cases, but not here, since he's been so fucking public about it. Man.
Yeah, like all those times where he's asked about it, and he's just like, my political aspirations hinge on me targeting the Walt Disney Corporation with crime-riddled litigation.
Yeah.
They're just like, Governor DeSantis, you can't say that. That's all illegal. Stop admitting to crimes, you gooner.
Please, you have to at least try and hide why you're doing this. We all know, but you need to try and hide so that we can deny this. And they just keeps getting dunked on, and he can't back down. He is locked in. He is pot committed on this fight with Disney. Because if he blinks now, he looks weak, and he's done.
This reminds me of when the Supreme Court rejected Trump's Muslim ban for being racist, and Roberts literally penned an opinion that was like, now, Donald, if you give us the thinnest veneer of non-racism, you will get your Muslim ban. We will rubber stamp it. But Donnie Two Scoops, little boy president, you just have to give us something. And then Trump was like, fuck this, I'm done. No Muslim, if they won't give me my Muslim ban, I won't take it. And Roberts was like, no, you idiot. I want to give it to you, but I just need some plausible deniability. And Trump was like, I can't do that. Fuck you, buddy. Out.
Dude, you can't ask him to sign his name to a lie.
Yes.
It's the Crucible. Because it is my game! Because in my whole life I will never have another one! There's your weekly The Crucible reference.
Thank God. Whew. I was so worried we were not going to get it in under the wire. Thank God.
I'm the consummate professional in that sense sense only.
Yes.
You can't hang out with Elle for long without a Crucible reference creeping up.
Yeah, dude, I'm fucking I'm dropping like my pockets are turned out, you know?
Yes.
Next item.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to finish with is that from what I read, I don't remember the name of the judge, but apparently Disney managed to shepherd this lawsuit in front of a judge who's notorious for being very progressive and blocking other anti-free speech legislation DeSantis has tried to ram through in the past. So the same bullshit that Republicans did with that anti-abortion judge in Texas who tried to illegalize Plan B, and then that didn't work out because the Supreme Court was like, no, you can still have Plan B for now anyways. Like, basically, Disney did the reverse of that, where they were like, oh, we're going to find the best judge for us in this spot to absolutely put the screws to you, DeSantis.
The fucking lawyers, DeSantis' lawyers don't stand a chance. These fighting Disney on a legal front, get ready for shock and awe. Like...
Yeah, Disney is a legal corporation that delves into entertainment now and then. That's how this actually works.
You've activated their legal arm. It's just like they like. Well, I don't remember the CEO's name. He just smashed a big red button on his desk and like a vault under the castle. All these pods just like water drained out and eyes lit up in them. Just like release the lawyers. The castle moves away. Endless lawyers launch, just rocket up.
Sound of the horn for lawyers.
It's like, is this normal at Disney World? No.
Oh, it's the most.
It's not normal.
Yes, it's the most normal thing at Disney World. It's all they do at Disney World is get ready to sue people who try to fuck with them. They're the people who've destroyed copyright law in this country to the point where now we're shocked that we're getting a goddamn public domain Winnie the Pooh movie.
We'll see what sort of hoops they get to jump through to keep Steamboat Mickey out.
Yes,
it's up on the chopping block I think next year.
Yeah,
it should have been like 30 years ago, but they keep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with the story, but I'm just saying, Steamboat Mickey is coming down the pipeline as a character that is soon to be the next star of a crappy horror movie that nobody actually cares about near you.
Yeah.
Because all these people, they have their salacious idea. What if Winnie the Pooh, but horror movie? And people are just like, okay, you have my attention. So what's this about? And then they're just like, I have given you a bad product. And they're like, we don't care. We don't care how much Winnie the Pooh is in this product. We've had a bunch of good Winnie the Pooh over the years from the original source. Now that you can make bad Winnie the Pooh, the first one you make is crappy knockoff Pooh. Get out of here. Come correct or don't come at all.
Yeah,
damn right.
If you're not aware that all these live action Disney movies are just copyright renewals in sheep's clothing, I've got bad news for you.
I'm glad that now I don't need to settle for dealing with the AXXX porn parody at the end of my Winnie the Pooh porn movies. I could just get straight to the the brown nosed pup Shiza based furry porn accent that I want when I get a film called Winnie the Pooh.
I wondered where you were gonna go with it, and if you're gonna keep going, and you did. You went deep.
I wasn't sure myself at the beginning either. That's the wonders of comedy. Sometimes you're sticking your toe in the water, and you're just like, "Am I gonna jump in this water? I don't know if I can jump in this water."
All right. Do we want to talk about some mail?
I mean, certainly more than I want to talk about Shiza furries.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that if we keep going down this way, Xi Jinping is going to cancel us because that man is very upset about Winnie the Pooh, and especially Winnie the Pooh Shizer porn. So let's go to the mailbag.
Our listeners got questions, we got answers. It's time for Q&A.
Pancake Peasant asks, there are blue areas in red states and red areas in blue states. What is your personal favorite example of each?
I mean, I'm living in Kansas City, which is a very blue area in a deeply red state that is Missouri. Missouri cannot stop being fucking terrible lately. St. Louis is also pretty. I mean, cities are just fairly blue, and then you get into the country, and it's just blood red.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like just knowing how New Hampshire exists inside of New England, where New Hampshire barely goes blue every election, and when I would hang out in that section of the world when it comes to poker rooms and casinos, I mean, any casino you go to, oh my god, it's MAGA country 24/7 365. When I lived out in Vegas, it's just always that way. The clientele is older and whiter, and oh god, are they Republican? So that kind of thing. But it's just very funny that we in New England have sort of packaged all our crazy people into New Hampshire and then just topped it off with just enough normal people to keep the state from going Republican every 4 years. And it's like, okay, good. We penned up all the crazy, but they don't do any electoral damage. Perfect. It's like a perfect setup for liberalism in New England.
The craziest one's probably Austin, right? Considering how terrible the rest of Texas is, the fact that Austin is just there, sort of being an actual place for freaks and weirdos. And now hipsters, mostly hipsters, but that's fine. I like those people too. Anyway, Austin seems like a big example, and I know that politically it doesn't exactly satisfy the prompt, but I will shout out to Boston for sort of being the opposite. Man, there are a lot of racist people in Boston. You get to Boston and you're just oh my god, it's the capital of one of the bluest states in the Union, and this place is going to be some sort of liberal paradise, and you get some Southie, fucking
oh boy, yeah.
Irish dude just telling you his opinions about the brown people he has to work with. They are not good.
They are not progressive at all.
Yeah, and then if you find the guys who sort of going to push back, they're just like, "What? I'm just CEO." And they just make a bunch of noises and try to absolve themselves.
Oh,
Or maybe they'll just look you dead in the eye and just be like, "Yeah, I don't like that race." And you're like, "Oh, jeez."
Yeah. Oh no.
I just watched the Netflix documentary on the Boston bombing, and they had some pretty choice clips.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that meatball was pretty spicy.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a great time to be in the area because I was living in the area at the time. Not a great time to be in that area with the ethnicity and race of the people involved are coming out. Yeah, it suddenly had a lot of patriots reigniting the fiery passion in their blood that they had forgotten about since 2001.
Oh God, yeah. So thank you for the question. Meebad asks personal picks for who's going to fill the white power vacuum at Fox now that Tucker's gone.
Oh, who knows? I don't even know. Their bench isn't super deep. Probably someone from the Five, right? That's their highest rated show. I don't know much about their lineup.
Well, the main thing for me is the question is, if they want to go nuts, it's Jesse Waters' show all day, every day, because Waters is QAnon adjacent at this point. He's like a pilled lunatic. But they usually only let him on the weekends and stuff like that because he's way too crazy for like the mainstream rotation. But if they wanted to keep the Tucker audience happy, like that's the guy that QAnon's like promoting as like the replacement that they want to see. So I doubt that's what's going to happen. I figure they're going to find a more boring corporate bootlick to take over Tucker's job, but we'll see. I mean, for the actual Waters is the only option for like the actual like white power pilled community because he's the only guy that like swims in those waters. Anyone else in that? I mean, Hannity lost his fastball a decade ago. I mean, that guy is just a giant whatever. So, here's to just hoping that it will not be a terrible monster, pretty much.
Well, I mean, it's Fox, so whoever they elevate is going to be a horrible monster, and like at least one way or another.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no.
I don't know enough personally about like conservative talking heads to even hazard a guess as to who gets to fill the power vacuum left behind by Tucker Carlson. Maybe he's too strong of a force. Maybe they just have to fill that time slot with another like group-based show.
That would be hilarious. That would like the ancient times where Hannity had his little liberal punching bag sidekick Combs, and then after a while they were like, the whole Combs dynamic doesn't work. It's just going to be Hannity all the time now. That'd be funny if they got like a token liberal to like go on the show and like pretend to like get dumped on.
Lemon's looking for a job.
It would actually, I think Tulsi Gabbard would take the role of token liberal that gets crushed by the conservative, even though she'd totally be in on the gag because she's not really a liberal either. But they could pretend that Tulsi was liberal. So
maybe they will use super mad scientist and take some DNA from Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson and blend them into the world's greatest straight down the middle perfect clone of a talking head newsman. To just be like Abradolph Winkler or whatever.
Yes.
Was that the name of that character in
yes.
Morty? Just says, I'm the perfectly down the middle newsman.
That'd be great. Johnny Non-Gamer asks, is JFK Jr. still dead? How loud are the calls to elect dead people into office in the QAnon world?
Isn't dead, never has been.
No. It's really funny because JFK Jr. is probably the most controversial subject in QAnon. It is very funny that like this is one of the fault lines of the movement. Is that if you believe that JFK Jr. is alive, people who think he's dead think of you as an embarrassment to QAnon, and that you're ruining the seriousness of the movement by talking about JFK Jr. as being living. So they really hate Negative 48 and all his bullshit. They hate that Negative 48 is a in real life cult, which, as we talked about earlier in the podcast, those things can take horrible fucking turns. So they hate that it's a real life cult, so people can point to it and be like, this is how dangerous they're getting, this is what they're doing. And they double hate the Negative 48 and thinks that everyone's alive. He thinks JFK Sr. is alive, that he got med-bedded after getting shot in Dallas, and he's perfectly okay at the spry age of like 500 or whatever he would be now with all the crippling illnesses that he had while he was alive. But In total, it really is that divide. It's like an argument where you have on the one side, quote unquote, what I jokingly call serious QAnon, where they hate dead people being talked about, and then you have fantasy QAnon, who everyone who is dead is alive, and everyone who is alive is dead. And one day, Joe Biden will rip off the mask, and it'll be James Woods under it, and he'll tell us it was all just a funny little jape, and then give the podium over to Trump, and Trump will be president again, and everyone will be happy.
Mike, you can have your fun talking shit about them all you want, but there are tons of people all over the disc that think that JFK Jr. is still alive.
Damn right. It's all about the disc, baby.
Now, what do you believe in the God Diamond that keeps the demons out, or are we held up by elephants, or is there an ice wall?
The elephants think it's from Discworld, a loser. That's obviously fake. That's crazy. Why would you ever think such a thing? No, our disc floats in space. Space is obviously real, except not in the way that we perceive it, because there's a dome over the disc. Whatever. We'll get into this off the podcast. You'll take your answer off the air and like it.
Yes, we're gonna pill Sarge on Discworld off air. When you tune in next week, Sarge will be fully pilled. He'll totally.
Also, I have to specify World Disc, not Discworld, because World Disc is different, but legally distinct from Discworld.
World Disc.
Yeah, we will not be talking about Discworld. I repeat, we will not be talking about Discworld.
No, we will not. I don't even know how I said those words. They don't make it. They roll off the tongue really funny. World Disc, so much cleaner, so much smoother.
Disc who? World what?
Yes. And Ken Stacknick asks, Freddie Potatoes wants to know, what are your all-time favorite music albums?
Ooh. Man, the album I've listened to the most is probably Demon Days by the Gorillaz, followed by the second Gorillaz album, or the first Gorillaz album, self-titled. I personally really like the Proto-Man Act 2, Father of Death, but I wouldn't call that an all-time. It's an all-time for me. So there you go. There's some good ones.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can't fall back on the one I listened to the most, because back when I had crummy taste in music as a high schooler, I had a bunch of real bad stuff on a loop. I'm not really listen to like full albums kind of guy anymore, but you know, I can't throw out some albums that I still think are bangers, which include but are not limited to Marilyn Manson, Portrait of an American Family. Despite the fact that he's problematic, obviously. The Deltron 3030 by Del the Funky Homo Sapien. That's a great album. Yellow Guitar by the Witches. They're a Korean ska band. They're pretty good. That album I remember being a bop. Or was it Yellow Broomstick? It's hard to remember because they're a Korean band from 1,000 years ago. I'm trying to go over just like a wide breadth of suggestions. I actually really like despite again them being a problematic person. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I think, is probably my favorite of Kanye's albums. Yeah, that's right. Come at me, you graduation stands. Let's go. Yeah, so there are some generally good albums. Like I tend to like stuff that you can listen to front to back, and there aren't like a ton that I'm satisfied like putting on and listening to all the way through. So there's like a smattering of them. I wouldn't call them my favorite albums, so I didn't technically succeed at the prompt, but they are very good albums that I'm happy to listen to.
Yeah. I haven't listened to an actual album in a dog's age. So, I mean, back in the ancient times, I would say that Metallica's Black Album was something I totally got into.
Yeah. Right on.
Whatever the Verve, whatever album it was that had Bittersweet Symphony on it, I listened to that a lot. But really just that era was pretty much the era where I would actually put a CD in the ye old computer and then listen to it all the way through, and so on and so forth. In my dotage, I am much more of a person who enjoys a song that I've heard somewhere, and then I listen to that track on YouTube, and that's about it. I usually don't like dig into an artist to like find more about them. And of course, because I'm contractually obligated to say this, Garbage's self-titled album, "The Greatest Music Ever Made in the History of the World."
Boo, what a show! Boo.
That's me.
Boo.
That's me. I accept your scorn. I stand athwart of your hatred.
I was wondering when it was coming. I was like, it's gonna be real weird if he doesn't mention at least one Garbage album here. That's like his whole gimmick.
Yeah, well, actually, when I saw the prompt, I was debating between self-titled and 2.0, and then I was just like, nah, the first album's the one that really that was the one that hit. So I have to stick with that.
Yeah, you were having trouble coming up with one. You were like, do I have an opinion?
Boom! You love hitting me with that line. That is
it's the slider. I keep sneaking it in there.
Yes. It's very funny to me that Special is the one song you can hit me with out of the catalog. So anyhow, that brings us to our final question as always, is what are you guys looking forward to?
They just dropped a big update for Cult of the Lamb, a indie game that I enjoyed, and they added just a ton of new stuff for free, like another campaign after the game. I'm looking forward to getting to that here soon. I'm just going to start a new game altogether because they added so much to the combat. So.
Oh, cool! I enjoyed Cult of the Lamb, and I forget exactly what sucked me out of it because I was playing Cult of the Lamb. I beat it once, and then I was going to play it again, and then some other game like grabbed me and pulled me away.
Oh,
so
if you're going to play it again, now's the time because they just dropped
a
massive free update, adding like more bosses after a new story after the first campaign.
Oh, sweet! I am here for all of it.
I'm excited. We started to get a bunch of Lorcana spoilers. Ooh, Lorcana, which is the upcoming trading card game using the Disney animated like properties and designed by Ravensburger. And a friend and I are getting back into some tabletop card gaming after not being able to do it for a while, and it's been a fun time. And we're planning on going in and investing on like the ground floor of this new game and exploring it as it's releasing and stuff. So that'll be a good time. And it's easy to get excited about that, especially now that information is coming out about it. And also we've been in a weird pattern, it's spring. So like the weather or whatever. And it's usually been pretty drizzly and gray and overcast and stuff, which I really like. And we're getting some more rain in this weekend, which is good because as Mike knows, I'm only happy when it rains.
Boom!
Right at the end, I saw the actual moment in your eyes when you realized what was happening. That was brilliant. I love it. I live for that. I don't care if the audience never gets to see it. That's the shit I live for. I just said that just this sort of like half vacant stare, like paying attention but not too much attention before you're just like, wait a minute, he's setting up for something that's coming in.
I'm gonna have to wear sunglasses to the podcast from now on. I have to deny all his emotional nourishment.
You're gonna show it just like a poker try hard.
Yes. Oh God, I have the hoodie, the shades. I won't even be able to actually engage in the conversation because I'll have the headset on, listening to music. So I can't even actually engage with you guys. I'm just talking over you constantly. It'll be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn over my like naked Jack 4 or whatever. Then you're gonna send your goons. Be like, bro, there's no way you didn't cheat. We want our money back.
Hashtag fuck Garrett. Oh man, that was really funny. The woman that had that hand happen to her, I found her Twitter feed and I clicked follow and she immediately followed me back. And I was just like, oh man, I really hope she doesn't want to deal with this fucking shit that I'm talking about, because my handle Poker in Politics is absolutely not descriptive of what my feed is.
Yeah, Deals Poker hates QAnon would have been two on the nose.
Yes. I am looking forward to more sports ball stuff. Tomorrow is the glorious NFL draft where my middling and floundering New England Patriots have been rumored to be doing fucking everything. So when they draft an offensive lineman that no one's ever heard about, it's going to be just absolutely incredibly soul crushing. Just the Jets get Aaron Rodgers. The Dolphins are loaded for bear. The Buffalo Bills might sign DeAndre Hopkins tonight. It's just every other team doing incredible shit. Patriots, probably some offensive guy from some Division III school no one's ever heard of who's got like 2 torn ACLs. So
any moment now, the Mac Jones is going to dramatically evolve on the field like a Pokemon into the football player that the Patriots have always said that he was.
Oh God! Oh, it's so like his first year, people thought he was good. Like people. New England fans are so spoiled by Tom Brady. It was like last year he struggled. Everyone was, get this bum out of here. Let's sign Lamar Jackson. Let's get anybody else. Fuck this kid. There's like literally rumors that we're going to trade 1 million draft picks and Mac Jones to the Texans at number 2 and then draft a quarterback with the 2nd overall pick right now. It is bonkers. The Bruins are raffle stomping the Florida Panthers and about to finish their series. And everyone's like, snooze, hockey, boo. Let's talk about picking people in a lottery and football. Way more exciting because we're useless and stupid people here. So, yeah, so I have that to look forward to. And so that'll be exciting. And hopefully the saga of my dumb foot will be over because the foot specialists, because the foot is apparently a strange and alien organ that only specialists can treat and analyze. And yeah, I've had 2 regular doctors look at my foot and been like, "Oh, podiatrist," and I'm like, it's a toe. You can see it, and they're like, "Oh, the toe, the strangest of all organs in the human body." I'm like, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you people?" But yeah, they called me up on Monday and they're like, "We will accept your insurance. You are considered a citizen in good standing of America, and therefore you are allowed to see a doctor without having to pay $5,000 for it." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." So yes,
you should be so lucky.
Yes, oh God, I'm truly the most blessed of all people. So yeah, so I get to look forward to hopefully having the ability to walk without pain in the near future, which is great, and also. And also my professional football sports team continuing to fail me. Unlike my hockey team, which is great, and my basketball team, which is fucking up. Get your shit together, Celtics. How are the Hawks still in this thing, you bums? You absolute bums.
Yeah, Celtics. Sports of the ball harder, you know?
Yes. Don't let some guy hit a miracle 40-foot shot on you to defeat you, which is what happened last night. But hey, that guy had the balls to take the shot and make the shot, so good on him.
Yeah, and they say that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
hashtag Wayne Gretzky, hashtag Michael Scott. So yes.
So you just gotta, sometimes you just gotta lay it up there.
Yes.
Anyway, that's gonna do it for another successful episode. Successful? ? Episode of the Adventures of the HellwQrld podcast. Thank you so much for listening and supporting us. You can support us even harder for free if you'd like to by giving us a 5-star review or a big thumbs up or a gold star or whatever they want you to give wherever you get your podcast. If you have money and you'd like to support us with that money, we're happy to take it off your hands. You can go to patreon.com/pokerpolitics, where you can give us a little tipperooski. If you are donating $5 or more a month to the cause, you get access to all of our back content, bonus content that's up on the site, 40 plus hours of a bunch of stuff, including a series where we dissect Q, pop media, well, pop in quotation marks, because, it's mostly for Q folks' eyes. And any future bonus content that we put out once we get our heads out of our asses and start doing that again. Thank you as always so much to all of our beautiful babies. We love everyone in the crib. Which that's sometimes it comes out and it just sounds bad. And Sarge is nodding in agreement for those of you at home. If you have money you don't want to give it to dicks like us, we totally understand. You can do some good with it as an example by visiting love146.org. They're an organization whose vision is the end of child trafficking and exploitation, and they seem like the sort of people who would rescue you from the crib. Thank you, as always, to DJ Minimal Effort for use of our intro song. No social media for DJ Minimal Effort. What an absolute unit. Who needs it? Well, I'll tell you who needs it is Frosty, who you can find on Twitter at FrostyVO. Frosty, of course, is our voiceover friend who does all of our bumps and is the voice of Q when we need it. You can find the show, yes, this show, the show that you were listening to that gets third billing during this part of the read, at HellwQrld. That's HellwQrld with a Q instead of an O. You can find myself on Twitter at HellwQrld, HellwQrld spelled the same way. Sarge is at Sergeant Hell, and Mike Rains is, of course, at Poker Politics. Who else would he be? Dealing poker and hating QAnon? That doesn't roll off the tongue at all. So, thank you once again for supporting the show and for another successful episode of the Adventures of the Hellworld podcast. I am signing off as one of your beautiful hosts, the Mysterious L, joined as always, at least recently, by the enigmatic Sarge, and of course, our host with the most and our expert in all things QAnon crazy, Mr. Mike Rains. Goodspeed, Patriots!